Hi everyone, welcome back to my Animal Crossing New Horizons series. This is part 57. Last episode we went ahead and decorated the front of Abel Sisters as well as completed decorating the front of the museum. I think those two were like huge areas which I'm really happy with right now. In today's episode we'll go ahead and try decorating a couple of villager houses and see how it goes. As usual, we have Isabel's broadcast here, and I'm actually playing this game in the evening today, so we'll probably have a different settings. It's amazing to see that we have another new campsite visitor. I'm not really sure if I want to invite this campsite visitor, considering that we have actually had a couple new villages on our island. So maybe I'll actually skip this one out, but let's see who it's actually gonna be and see if we can actually invite them. Now once again, it seems like we don't really have any mail, which is pretty fine. I mean, usually the only mail I do get is items that I have ordered on Nook Stop. In this case, I have not done that yet, so we don't really have any item. Right here, as you might have seen, I just decided to go ahead and change my outfit for today. Lucky for me, we did have a Nook Miles task to complete for that, and here is my outfit. Alright, now that we have this done, I think I'll go ahead and quickly check out the resident services building as well as Nook's Granny before we go ahead and check out the campsite. Now, as far as decorating goes in today's episode, I'm mainly thinking of decorating Pashmina's house, which is right next to the campsite. I mean, after all, we did actually just decorate the campsite. So I think it's time for me to go ahead and decorate Pashmina's house. I'm also thinking of decorating some other areas, but let's see if we can actually cover it in today's episode. As usual, I'm checking out Nook Shopping. This is just to make sure that I do get the Nook Shopping app, which I think is quite helpful. I mean, you don't really have to visit Resident Services building every single day if you do have that app. In this case, I think that's all I have for now. Let me quickly go ahead and check out Nook's Granny before we move on. Nowadays, I'm not really worried about too much on the furnitures. After all, we have been buying a lot of them, and I think I'll be able to kind of manage this island with the ones I have. Right here, it seems like we have a ice cream display machine, which is another new one. I might be able to use this one in my kitchen, so I just go ahead and buy it. There's also a patchwork glove kind of chair. This one will definitely help me decorate, so I did buy it as well. I think it has been so long since I actually didn't check out this cabinet. I just remember checking it out every single day to see if I do find different wallpapers and floorings. But recently, I am not really visiting Nook's Granny that much, so I really did not check out this cabinet. But today, I actually ran out of the cedar tree saplings, so I did have to come back here. Personally, I think I really like cedar trees just because they do get different lightings whenever it's Christmas or depending on some season. So definitely really like cedar trees. Hopefully, I'll actually be able to use it around Pashmina's house. Here I am making my way to the campsite. It looks super cool, especially when we have a visitor. And I think it might be just the evening settings, but I really like this one. Anyway, let's see what new villager we have got today. I think personally the most recent villager would be Pashmina, but I might be actually wrong about it as well. Either way, here we have Vic. But as I mentioned before, I'm not gonna be inviting him to my island. Well, now that we have met Vic right here, I think it's time for me to go ahead and start decorating. Now, I would have gone to Pashmina's house immediately, but I realized that I had to make some changes right in front of the campsite right here. So I'm just gonna quickly go ahead and do that. Sadly, it has been raining a lot where I live, so you might actually hear some rain sounds or water sounds a lot. Most of the time you might not, considering I do have a lot of waterfalls on this island. But if you do find or if you do hear some extra noise, I am so sorry, it's because of the rain. Right here, I think the entrance didn't really look good considering I did use the same path. So I decided to go ahead and make some changes. After all, we do have all of these different patterns that I could actually use. There we go. Now that we have this here, it looks so much better. I definitely want to see if I can fit another item here. I'm not really sure. I guess we can actually leave it like that as it is. After all, having too many items in one area would cause it to actually crowd, and I don't really want that. So here we are. This is actually behind Pashmina's house. As you can see, I do have around 4 cedar trees already planted. As for the rest of this area, I'm just planning to have a small pond to which we can actually go ahead and go to and sit around. I'm planning to kind of use log bench around it. Hopefully we do have enough space. I mean, it's very small and I do have to adjust this. I'm also not really sure if I will be able to add too many outdoor items here, but I'm just gonna try. Offline, I actually managed to go ahead and craft some more DIY items. As you can see, I have quite a few that I can actually use. Hopefully this is enough for both the villagers' house. I also do have to say I get distracted a lot when I see a balloon present. It's always pretty fun to actually see what we do get. In this case, I got Explorer shorts, which is definitely an item I don't own and I'm pretty happy to have it. As far as the cliff that I'm standing on goes, I'm not really sure what design I might do with this one. But for now, we are only going to focus on Pashmina's house and see how we can actually design this one here. I don't think I can add any more trees in this area, so I'm just going to go ahead and use out all of the outdoor items I have. Just need to add a couple of dark dirt patches before I do so. I've also gone ahead and just visited Harvey's Island to make sure that I have enough of the shrubs as well as starter plants. In this case, I'm also going to go ahead and use a couple different fences that I own as well. Usually when I am decorating a villager's house, I do make sure that I actually have enough space. But sadly in this case, I actually kept the house a bit forward. I guess if I had to redo this area, I would actually place the house a bit back and have that small pond that's behind the house kind of in the front. Maybe this is a future idea for me to kind of go ahead and redecorate my island. But for now, we're just gonna go ahead and work with the design that I have right here. There we go, that is all on the dark dirt patch. As for this path, I'm gonna go with the stones. I think this is one of the most used pattern at this point. I mean, I really like it and I'm just gonna use it in the rest of the island as well. But let me create a path to a log bench. Sadly, I do not have enough wood. At some point, I might have to come back and cut down the trees, replant them just because I'm running out of wood. But for now, since we do have it, I'm gonna go ahead and craft as much as items that are possible and see how we can go from there. Initially, when I placed the house here, my main plan was to have a fountain in front of the house and keep the house as far as possible to the cliff's edge. But for some reason, when I was actually placing the kit for the house, I think I forgot about that and placed the house right in the middle. Anyway, let me quickly go ahead and completely cover up the dark dirt path right here with different designs. In this case, I'm also planning to go ahead and see if I can plant some shrubs in the back, just to kind of cover up the trees the same way I actually did behind my campsite. If that's not possible, I'll go with any of the different fences that I own. Probably the log wall fence would actually work out very well. If you're trying to partially hide an item, I think the lace fence will work very well for that, or the log fence. There are other fences like the log wall fence, which will actually completely cover up your item that you place behind it. So if you want to kind of cover up a item that you don't want people to actually see, I think using a log wall fence or any kind of bamboo fence will actually work very well. As I mentioned right here, I did go ahead with a combination of both. I think this will actually work pretty well. There we go. Few more log wall fences here, and that should be good. I think it will cover up once I do have all of those shrubs fully grown up. Anyway, I came back to this path and had to kind of remove it. I do have the long bench, just have to stand in the right spot for me to actually place it. So there we go, that looks pretty good. I might be able to go ahead and place another item back here, but let me see if I do have a plant that I could probably use right there. Sometimes I do have a lot of items in my pocket, but I actually don't have the item that I'm looking for, which can be a bit frustrating. But in this case, I'm just trying to use or work out with the items that I have. Let me see if I can actually change this up a bit here and use this item right here. So that should look good. As for the front of this house, I went ahead with a clothing line. To be honest, clothing line is one of my most favorite recipes right now, considering the fact that it's so good looking as well as so easy to kind of craft. I think I have used it in all of my villager houses, especially for decorating. In this case, I'm just gonna go ahead and use it here as well. Maybe I do have to change up the items I'm using. I guess sometimes we just don't have enough space for a particular item. At this point, I just decided to not actually use the clothing line here. Definitely do have to come back to decorating this one. But for now, I'm just gonna use a couple other items I might be able to use right here. Now, I do have a garden faucet which might work out. So let me see if that is possible. There we go, that is on the path. As for the garden faucet, I think this one looks good. I did actually customize that garden faucet to kind of look brown in color. You'll be able to kind of customize it into a concrete one as well, but this one I think looks pretty good. As for the top right here, I decided to go ahead and just clear up my pocket. Did have a extra bamboo, so that is gonna be right there. I'm not really sure where to actually use the pyramid. It's an odd item to use on my island, but I think I'll actually enjoy using it. So that one is gonna be right there. As far as this path goes, you might remember me mentioning that I definitely do have to terraform here, and that is still in plan. I might do that in the future. I definitely have quite a huge space around here which I actually need to fill, so I'll be doing that. Now here's another place I definitely want to decorate in this episode. It's another one of my villager's house, and as you can see, it's a pretty small cliff, so I think I'll be able to fit this one here as well. Now for this house, as far as decorating goes, I definitely want to have a path which I am working on right here. I also want to have a small seating area where I can sit down right next to the cliff. Not really sure where I'm gonna put it, but let's see how we can do it once we have this path filled right here. In the future, I definitely want to make some changes to the cliff itself. Right now, I think the cliff is pretty small, but at some point, if I am terraforming the cliff, I might actually expand this one as well. But for now, as far as the cliff we have, I'll go ahead and decorate it as much as possible. The path is definitely gonna go ahead and connect to this one right here, which is kind of like a pass through to Pashmina's house. So I definitely need to add this one here. Now usually when I am decorating an area, I really like to kind of lay down the path so that I know that I will be able to kind of fit a couple of items once the path is ready. Otherwise, if I do actually accidentally use a huger item, fitting the path around it is a bit tougher. So let me quickly go ahead and complete this path first before I can actually go ahead with the items. I think mostly for the chair, I might actually place it in the front, considering that we have a huge area in the front right here. I actually wanted to add more trees for this one, but unfortunately I was only able to fit 2 of them. So in the future, if I'm able to kind of expand this cliff, I'll go ahead and add a couple more trees. There we go, that is on the path. Just need to add another one here. So this should look good. I don't want to add the path too much because sometimes it might actually cover up the trees. In this case, I'm also going to go ahead and add a couple of shrubs to avoid people from going at the edge of the cliff, and add the dark dirt path. Now, same as Pashmina's house, this one also has a lot of space behind. I might actually go ahead and plant a couple of starters here, maybe the carrot or tomatoes that I actually own. I'm also able to kind of enlarge this waterfalls just to actually cover the area up. There we go. I'll go ahead and add a couple of shrubs as well. I think it's an easier way to actually add shrubs if you do not want people to walk through a certain path, as it definitely does actually block it. I also need to go ahead and add a couple of these stone path here to kind of extend it from the cliff right next to it to this house. There we go. Just one more left, and now that we have the path itself, I think it looks way better. But I'll go ahead and add a couple more items. I do have a lot of fences here. Usually when I am actually crafting any item, I also end up crafting a bit more fences. I think it actually makes it look much better. Now right here, I actually realized that I did not have any smaller items to kind of add. So I just went ahead and improvised using shrubs here. Maybe in the future, once I do have a couple of smaller items that I have crafted, I'll be able to go ahead and replace these. I'm also going to try and add a couple of these pumpkin starters just to fill up some of the space. Thankfully, I do have this bamboo basket here. I think I'll be able to fit it in the spot. There we go. Now this bamboo item I have not yet customized, but if you do customize it, it will look so much better than this green colored one. I also wanted to add the lamp right there. The wine lamp is pretty cool, but I was expecting it to be a bit larger. I guess that was just me. Anyway, I think I'll be able to use this throwback mitten chair right here as a place for me to kind of sit down. After all, we do have this small space in the front. You could also go ahead and add a stone path that is leading to the chair itself. There we go. That should look good. As for the other side of this cliff, I'm really not sure what to add there. I might be able to add some of these items. I do have this deer-scarce, which I think is a pretty cool item. Once again, I forgot to customize this one. I really need to go back and customize all of my items as soon as I craft it. Now that I do have the front part of this area completed, I think I'll be able to add a couple of designs in the back here. As usual, when there is a lot of space, I really like to kind of use a couple different fences to kind of block it off. Once this cliff is actually expanded, I think I'll have a pretty good place right here in the back to add more of these pumpkin starters or tomato starters. I think those two items are my favorite as far as all the other starters go. I also need to just go ahead and add a couple of path prints. I think that's all that is remaining for these two paths. Definitely this was pretty fun considering that we had to decorate a very small area, which is sometimes kind of restrictive. I mean, you are kind of restricted to use smaller items unless you want to completely block the path itself. In this case, I think this one looks pretty good. Let me know in the comment section which decoration did you really like. The one right in front of this house or Pashmina's house. By the way, this is actually Kiki's house. I had totally forgotten about it until I remembered it right now. Anyway, that is all on decorating for this one. While going back, I actually completely forgot that I had to add some patterns on the dark dirt part, which I'll actually quickly go ahead and do. This actually reminds me that I have couple items that are lying on the cliff, which I have to go back and pick up. I really do not like random items just being there on the cliff, unless it's something that I really need to use on a later stage. So I will actually go back and clear it out. Anyway, let me quickly go ahead and add a couple more of these parts. Usually when I am decorating around the tree, I also like to go ahead and use a couple of flowers or starters, unless it is a small space where it does not matter if I do add one. Anyway, that's all on decorating on both of my villager houses. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to support me more on Patreon, check out the links in my description. And I'll see you guys in the next one.